Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Secrets of a Witch podcast with me, Sabrina Scott, where I talk all about life, love, magic, spirituality, witchcraft, divination, tarot, feminine energy, polarity, and everything in between. And as I'm recording this, it is the full moon, and Mercury retrograde is just a few days away. And I just want to say a few words about Mercury retrograde. So, personally, I love Mercury retrograde. Have I had stuff happen like computers die and whatever during these blips of time before? I have. But as a Virgo rising, my chart is ruled by Mercury. So maybe that's true for some of y'all. And so I really do feel, despite the haywireness at times, whether that's a missed train connection or missed flight or rescheduling something and forgetting the time or whatever other mishaps, I do really feel good during Mercury retrogrades, and maybe you do too, who knows. But regardless, I wanted to talk just for a few minutes about how we can work with this energy of this time, because there is no reason to just act miserable and morose and count down the days for Mercury retrograde to be over. In my opinion, it makes a lot more sense to ride the waves of the energy that we're in. We can't change it. We can't fight it. Well, we can fight it, but in my opinion, things always go a lot better on an energetic level when we embrace the reality of the moment that we're in. So there's no reason to pretend it's not Mercury retrograde. There's no reason to resist it. It usually just causes more shit. Honestly, I think these things always go better when we surrender and release into the energy that we happen to be in and allow the wind that is flowing through the air right now to push us forward and be that wind beneath our sails as we direct ourselves forward into our next season and into the tail end of the year. So how should we work with Mercury retrograde? So obviously back up all your computers, do all of that shit, avoid signing contracts. If you absolutely need to, make sure it's looked over like 5 times by different people. If you are launching a book or something during this time, make sure that there's no typos, everything is edited exactly right. Really just double check everything. Mercury retrograde isn't a time to do nothing and, avoid the world. It is more a time to just double check that everything is how it's supposed to be. It's an easier time for communication mishaps or little mistakes or errors or just oversights to happen. Miscommunication also really common around this time. It's also really common for our exes or old connections or people that we have known to rise from the dead and communicate with us. And Mercury retrograde has hit me early this year, I guess, because just today I got a message from someone who I went on a handful of dates with 2 years ago. And do not be sucked in, my friends. So that's one thing I want to say too, is do not let Mercury retrograde victimize you. Do not let this time and sometimes the rosy glassesness of this time pull you back into a situation that you left or that ended for good reason. Some of my friends who have been in this space, my community for multiple years, you guys may or may not remember my Instagram reels that I did, I guess 2 years ago now, where I had mentioned that both times this person was kind of in my space, there was broken glass. It was, I think, a wine glass and then a statue, a Santa Muerte statue actually like shattered. And I definitely saw that at the time as like, oh, this is, should pay attention to this. This is bad vibes. And the person obviously was outwardly very friendly and all of that. But I do think there was good reasons that connection ended. And, I'm not going to be giving a second chance. And I think that the second chances that we are inspired to give around Mercury retrograde never go well. I'm not the biggest fan of second chances as it is. That being said, Awa says hello. Do you agree with that, Awaz? Yeah. My little co-host, Awaz, says hello. So, second chances, sometimes they can go well, sometimes they don't. But I think if we do give a second chance, it's much more likely to go well if we do it when Mercury is not in retrograde, and that we're not making the decision based on this kind of rosy-eyed, nostalgic, overly positive, overly optimistic view of the past. Because what often happens during Mercury retrograde, when people are reaching out from the past that we haven't heard of for a while, oftentimes retrograde energy can trigger all of us to be a little bit introspective, a little bit overly romantic at times. And don't get me wrong, this is a great time of year to reflect, to journal, to contemplate. And I'll talk a little bit more about the positive ways to work with this energy in just a second. But I really wanted to make sure I address this like looming danger of exes saying hello during Mercury retrograde, or even just people that we've dated just for a really brief period of time, or ex-friends, or whatever it happens to be, just connections that didn't really go very well, or that ended under certain terms or whatever. And it is really tempting, whether through loneliness or ego or unfinished business, wanting to try things again and wanting things to end differently. But when people say hello during Mercury retrograde, usually that is not the energy that people are coming to you with, right? It's often like not very positive, right? It's often they're messaging you for ego, or they just want to see if they still have a hold on you, or whatever. They want to see if they can still get a reply from you, if you'll still make plans with them after, ABC, whatever went wrong, or whatever way that things ended. Do you know what I mean? And so if you do decide to make plans with people from the past, I would say wait until Mercury retrograde is over. Give yourself some time to think about it. Really reflect on if that's a really good idea, if it's a good use of your time. Is this someone that you value? Is it someone that values you? That's also a really important thing to ask. And I think it's something that folks do not ask themselves often enough when we're considering what connections are we going to be spending our very precious time within. And much of these people who are just kind of, popping up from the netherworld, they often don't necessarily have our best interests in mind. They're usually just doing it from ego and to soothe themselves so they can feel desirable, powerful, whatever it happens to be. So I hope that all of you, by the end of Mercury retrograde, will be able to mark yourself safe from Mercury retrograde. So I'm pretty sure the retrograde starts this weekend, and I believe it ends on November 29th. Do double check that. Maybe it's a little bit different in your time zone or whatever region of the world that you're in. So do double check that. But Mercury retrograde, despite my warnings about getting re-involved with exes or past flings or hookups or whatever, it actually can be a really great time. It's a great time to read books, not be as social. It's a great time to journal a lot, reflect, book extra therapy sessions, maybe book a tarot reading, maybe with me, maybe book a coaching session, maybe with me, or whatever you need to do to really support your journey of growth. Whether that is, again, talking to your therapist, getting a tarot reading, maybe doing a tarot reading for yourself, doing some divination work, doing some automatic writing, just whatever you need to do to rest your mind and reflect on where you've been. I love Mercury retrogrades because they are kind of these forced pause moments. And often we are so focused on survival and making money and taking care of our kids if we have them, keeping things afloat, that it can be really difficult to prioritize our own energy and our own reflection. And often if we don't do that, we're just going to end up somewhere random. We're just going to end up somewhere perhaps that we did not intend to go. And so it is really useful, and I think in service of our growth and good trajectory in life, to really embrace these slow down moments of reflection and pause and audit. Use this time to do a little audit of your life. What is working? What isn't working? What habits are you wanting to adopt? What habits are you kind of disappointed in yourself about? It's a great time to reflect on all of that stuff. And so you've got a few weeks to do that. You've got a few weeks to do it. And I think it's so amazing when we do that with intentionality and from agency and from decision making, rather than being forced into it by circumstance or crisis or emergency, or even being sick. Oftentimes people run themselves into the ground and only really get to rest when our body forces us to, when we get sick. And so I think one way to avoid that in general is to really take extra care of ourselves during Mercury retrograde. Take a few extra baths, get some little sheet mask things to put on your face, streamline things, I don't know, just like be a little bit less social and extroverted, to be honest. And I know that's not going to be something that everyone is going to love to hear, but it really is an inward time. It is an inward kind of energy. And we all do need to swing the pendulum in that direction sometimes, right? So allow yourself to bask in the vibes of the Mercury retrograde. Do not fight it, embrace it. And I'm really curious what lessons y'all will learn over the next few weeks. Personally, I'm excited for some extra time to journal, to do some planning and some reflection on what has been working for me and what hasn't, and then make the changes accordingly. All right, y'all, that's it for today's short and sweet little episode. And happy Mercury retrograde. If you guys would like to book a tarot reading, I actually just have opened up bookings for year ahead tarot readings, which this year are going to be 2.5 hours for the price of a 2-hour reading. So a little bit of a discount for y'all. And if we go a little bit over, the world's not going to end. It's okay. Let me help you sort out your upcoming year. I'm really excited. I feel like 2026 is going to be a really good year after we have shed so much skin this year of the snake. Personally, I'm excited. And of course, if you want to check out any of my courses or classes or anything like that, I just recently realized that actually most of my masterclasses and stuff are not actually on my website. So I feel like I need to fix that and put some of them up there. I've got a bunch of really cool classes that actually are not online right now, at least not easily purchasable on my website, which it makes no sense. Stuff like the Ancestor Work Masterclass, Tarot for Mediumship, Recession Era Witchcraft, all of these great masterclasses that I've taught over the years are going to be on my website soon. So if those are anything that you're interested in, please either poke me and I'll send you the link right away, or just wait a little while until I get my shit together. It will all be on sabrinamscott.com. Of course, if you're looking for some fun reads, I do have 5 books out, which is fucking crazy. If you have not picked up the 2 books I've released this year, you can definitely do so over on Amazon. My newest is called A Witch at Home, 18 Rituals for Life, Love, and Healing. Really fun little book of mundane magic rituals. I'm super jazzed about it. And then, of course, Body Magic, a graphic novel about witchcraft, trauma, and healing, also out this year. And if you're looking for a little witchy 101, Curse and Cure, Magic for Real Life is always a crowd pleaser. All right, y'all, that's it from me. Talk to you soon. Much love. Bye.